there can be a looming frustration. The sense that no matter how many books are read, how many sad songs are watched, how many perfect phrases are collected, it never quite lands. It's like chasing a shadow on a wall. The mind hears word after word, pointer after pointer, and still feels, I resonate, but somehow I don't understand. This is an offering to that exhaustion, to the part of you that is tired of trying to understand, tired of the paradox, tired of trying to make reality fit inside a perfect conclusion. The mind is naturally binary, black and white. It wants yes or no, true or false, real or unreal, self or no self. Language is built like that too. It's polarities, subject and object. Every phrase we use, even a pointer like, it's just this, leans toward one side of an invisible line. This or that, here or there, me or you. But what is actually appearing right now is both and neither. Both empty and form. Both movement and stillness. Both intimate and impersonal. And at the same time, none of those categories pin this down. There can be something deeply dissonant about that. A binary mind meeting a both and neither reality is like a two-dimensional grid trying to map the sky with no edges. No matter how sincere the attempt, the map is always too small and rigid. And so the mind keeps revising the map, hoping one day to get it just right. Every non-dual pointer you have ever heard arises inside this tension. The words are born in duality, trying to gesture toward what is not to. A pointer is never a truth. This is key. It is an arrow. Its only honest function is to redirect attention from the story to the immediacy that the story appears in. But when a pointer lands in a binary mind, something strange happens. The arrow itself can become a new idol, a new rule, a new badge of identity. Everything is emptiness, can collapse into nothing matters. All is one can solidify into only awareness is real, and everything else is less than. The very sentence that dissolves confusion in one heart can deepen it in another. The very phrase that opens one person into wonder can push another into despair. This is not because the phrase is correct or incorrect. It's because language arrives in a mind that divides, compares, clings, and defends. So the seeker tries harder, collecting better words, sharper pointers, clearer mantras. If I could just find the right teaching, the correct explanation, it would finally click and stay. But reality is not waiting to be pinned down by conclusions. Trying to capture this with language is like trying to staple mist to a wall. The harder we push, the more exhausted we are. And eventually, it's seen that there is nothing to hold. It's too everything to grasp, too close to find, too fleeting to know. And yet, there is also a tenderness in what seems like failure. Because every time language breaks, something wordless shines through the cracks. Look closely at what language really is. Just frequency in the air, or lines of light on a seeming screen, arising and vanishing in a silent field that is projected by the mind to be out there. A word is never the thing it points to. Water does not wet the mouth. Fire does not burn the page. Awareness is not aware of anything. Words are empty. They point to a thing that they are not, pointing away from themselves toward an unseen intimacy that they can never grasp, contain, own, or even truly symbolize. Language is an exquisite liar in service of truth. It separates what can never be separated, just long enough to hint at the seamlessness that can't not be this, whatever it happens to look like. In that sense, every sentence about non-duality is an expression of defilement, a misleading failure to point to this. The deeper mystery words point to have to be seen for oneself, past the comfort of meaning. This is a divine failure if it is not taken as a literal description, but a mere gesture. The mind hears this and tries to use it. Okay, so the mind is the wrong tool. I'll stop using the mind. I'll reject language. I'll just be. Notice how even that is another conceptual project, another strategy, another subtle attempt to control, improve, or purify experience. The mind cannot resolve the mind. The mind is only a problem when the mind believes in the mind. Thought cannot think its own absence into existence. It's already absent. And here's the unexpected mercy. It doesn't need to. It can't. Wholeness is not waiting for the mind to finally get its act together. It's not asking for thought to change. Whatever you call reality, this, being, emptiness, it's not threatened by language. Words cannot damage it, and silence cannot improve it. The mind can only seem to obscure what is, in the same way clouds only seem to obscure the sky. Even in total overcast, the sky is not touched. So when it is said, the mind is the wrong tool for the job, let that be heard lightly. It is not a condemnation of thought, only a recognition of its limits. Balance is the key, my friends. You would not use a thermometer to listen to music. The tool of the mind is beautiful and precise, but it's in the wrong domain. It simply cannot report what is. Thought is brilliant at creating abstract artistry, navigating the illusion of time, story, and practical life. Yet it's utterly useless at reporting what this is prior to all stories. Yet even the distinction prior to stories is still a story. An impotent echo of symbols, attempting to mark what cannot be before or after anything. There are no words for what this is, how it is, why. Existential meaning cannot be touched by human intellect. Non-dual language often dances in paradox, both and neither. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Self and no self, meaningful and meaningless. It's just more this and that. It can't be escaped, and it doesn't need to be, because this is what wholeness looks like. It looks like duality. To the binary mind, this feels like nonsense or cruelty. How can both be true? Just tell me which one it is. But all the different speakers aren't trying to torture you, per se. It's just language stretching to its breaking point, trying to hint that the polarities themselves are dream content, offering something that can never be given. Seeds thrown out on ground that is the whole spectrum of fertile or barren. Both and neither is not a puzzle to solve. It is the sound language makes when it reaches the end of its own map and cannot go any further. And from that edge, there is a blind leap into the primordial intelligence that is the most obvious thing in the room, the only thing. And it's seen. There isn't even a distinction between higher and lower intelligence. They are literally the same. Therefore, the mind isn't a problem. It's a wild, innocent play of freedom that no idea, no one is doing. When the mind is no longer believed as an existential owner and reporter, as the authority on what is, the paradox doesn't just resolve itself. It's seen to have always been resolved, whole, complete, utterly unknowable. It becomes less like a riddle and more like a mirage. Fascinating, mysterious, shimmering, magical. We can discern the seeming difference between the artist, the medium, and the art, and watch them collapse into an unspeakable wholeness that always was. The word nonduality, an image of a circle, the sound of I am, or this, or stillness. These are innocent, misleading masks. They do not capture reality. They decorate it, like patterns drawn on water. A symbol becomes heavy only when it is mistaken for the thing it points to. Then non-duality turns into a dogma, an identity, a position opposed to duality. Symbols are already transparent. Meaninglessness, masquerading as all potential meaning. Meaning is meaninglessness. And it's not a thing to be captured and owned, but marveled over. It marvels over itself already. We can notice this. Words can arise and vanish without leaving a residue, like a bird passing through the sky. They can be held delicately, humbly, lightly, honoring the unknowable nature of even the small mind. Such a wonder. In this transparency, symbols are free to play. The problem is never that they appear, only that they are worshipped as the giver of meaning, or feared as more than mere shadows. My proof that this is not yet this. You might notice a quiet grief as this is felt more deeply. A grief that no phrase will ever be the final landing place. No teaching will ever fully satisfy the hunger for certainty. There is a mourning in recognizing that there will be no last place, no perfect conclusion that explains everything, no conceptual finish line where the mind can finally rest. Yet in the same breath, there is relief, because the absence of the final explanation is also the end of the search for it, the death of the need to know. When language is seen as empty, it loses its authority to define what you are. It can describe appearances, but it cannot legitimize reality. Reality doesn't need to be legitimized. It can't be. It is legitimacy already. Right now, words are appearing, sounds and text, floating in a vast, unspoken context that does not begin or end with them. Notice that this context, this presence, this aware no thing does not depend on understanding. It is here, before meaning, during confusion, and after clarity. Whether the mind agrees or disagrees, gets it or doesn't get it, this remains exactly as it is. Call it consciousness, being, emptiness, God. No name, none of these labels touch it. In fact, every label points and misses at the same time. Each one traces the outline of something that cannot be contained. So what is left if language is empty? Not a dramatic mystical state, not a special attainment, not a spiritual identity. What is left is ordinary presence, unadorned by explanation or prerequisites. The feel of the breath, the vibration of the room, the body, the play of light and shadow, the simple sense of being. Nothing in that needs a name to be what it is. It does not become more real when described, or less real when forgotten. The emptiness of language does not erase the world. It reveals that the world was never pinned downable. Life is not happening in knowing. Knowing is happening in life. Knowing never knows, only plays. As this sinks in, there could be a softening around the whole project of figuring it out. Questions lose their interest. Not because the questions are somehow wrong, but because they can finally rest in the mystery without demanding an answer. The mind will still do what it does. Thoughts will still arise. Interpretations will still appear. non-dual phrases will still bubble up, but they are seen as weather, not as law, passing commentary on something too immediate, too vast to ever be captured. In that recognition, the paradox is no longer a problem to fix. Both and neither can simply be the way it is. And of course, this script too is just a pile of symbols. A long finger pointing at the moon that can never be grasped. Every sentence here is provisional. You are invited to tear it apart, contradict it, forget it. It doesn't matter, because I'm not really saying anything. No matter what the mind decides is being said. Because the true offering is not any of these lines. It is the silent recognition that is listening. That recognition is not inside language. It's not caged inside the body. It's not inside time. It doesn't need to understand itself, to be itself. It doesn't need a conclusion, closure, or a final destination. The words can thin out now and grow more and more translucent. Notice the spaces between the phrases. The quiet before and after each thought. Notice that this quiet is not an absence, but a fullness without shape. This is what remains when language falls silent. No special state, no spiritual achievement, just the inescapable, indescribable that has always been here. You don't have to hold on to anything from this. You are already what all of this was trying and failing to describe. And when even that pointer dissolves, nothing is missing